America is in a dire spot right now as far as the working poor goes. And many people are finding themselves and their families in the position where they can no longer afford rent or their mortgage, and they have nowhere to go. So kind of the last bastion, the last hope that they have to actually keep a roof over their heads is to live in hotels. Let's have a look.
Ria, for example, has 4 children. In the last 2 years, she has lived with her kids in friends' apartments, in her car, and most recently in extended stay hotel rooms.
Hello. This is where we stay.
It ain't a hell of a lot of room, is it?
No.
No. There's not a single closet in the place, is there?
And this is a little bathroom that we share.
You, 3 of the kids?
3 of the kids sleep in the bed.
3 of the kids.
And the oldest one sleeps down there.
He's got the best deal of all.
Yeah, I try to get one of them to sleep with him, but they don't want to. They all want to be piled in the bed with mama.
I understand for a lot of Americans, it's actually quite easy to see this and be like, you know, she's just made some financial mistakes. This is not typical. This is atypical. But if you've been somebody who actually came from poverty, you know just how easy it is for people to slip through the cracks. It can just be one rent payment that was missed. And because you have a contract that the landlord can't break, they're going to use that opportunity to get you out so they can raise the rents for the next person who's coming in. And there's a multitude of reasons they do that. Usually it's because they're taking equity out of their investment property and they're going to pass on the new payment on to you, the renter. But people are at a point right now where if you increase things by $50 or $100, there's a lot of families out there. And we're not talking about 5% of America. We're talking about 20% of America, where if you increase the cost in housing, you know, by $50, $100, I mean, that could be enough to put them into the point where they need to do something desperate, like move into a hotel.
Ria struggles to pay $375 a week just for that extended stay room, working a patchwork of part-time jobs like driving for Uber.
I think what was so shocking is that this kind of living situation is not cheaper than an apartment. It's often double or even triple what an apartment down the street would cost.
How do you explain that?
When people are desperate and those who own these properties know that there are people who are desperate, they will take advantage of that desperation.
It's not as simple as that, honestly. You know, if you've been evicted from a property, if you've been kicked out, you know, you're gonna have a really hard time actually finding a new place to rent, especially now that there's a shortage of housing. So if you have any kind of blemish on your record when it comes to that, when they do the background check, when they reach out to the other properties that you lived in, they're just gonna deny you. They do that because they can. At the same time, they're gonna collect an application fee. And a lot of the larger rental corporations out there, they're going to not only collect an application fee, but they're going to sell your data to make money off that, while at the same time denying you and forcing you to live in a hotel. It's incredibly easy to get in this situation. And it is a very lonely spot to be in. I'm someone who travels a lot, and I've been in a lot of hotels. I remember very specifically the last time I visited Morgantown, West Virginia, we were staying at a Motel 6 there, you know, right by the Coliseum. And there was a nice old gentleman who was like 3 doors down from us. And, you know, he just kind of wanders around. If you look, he had his door open all the time. If you look in, there's probably like 100 books just kind of stacked up against the wall. And this guy is probably, you know, in his 70s, maybe his early 80s, but this is it for him. This is where he lives now. This is his home. You know, in places like that, I mean, there's no businesses nearby. Nothing's in walking distance. So that motel room is his entire world. This is more than likely where he will pass away. And you spend your entire rest of your life just seeing people come and go. People who know that you're living in that motel and they're going to look down on you. They're not going to wave. They're not going to smile. They'll hold their kids a little bit closer as they walk by. It is an incredibly hard thing to do. But for many people, it is simply the last resort. So we should not shame these people. We should not look at them with any kind of disgust or disdain, because you never know when you can fall into that position. And even though right now you can say, no, that will never be me, it might. It might be you. You might be the person who needs emergency rental assistance. You might be the person who needs a helping hand. That's why it's so important that we have social programs that keep people out of this situation, that keep people in their homes, not just throwing them out into the streets. People need to have the rights to stay in their homes, because not only is it bad for their families, it's bad for all of us. It's bad for the community. It's bad for the economy. But there's entire businesses that is designed to harvest for people who are in these bad spots. Money lending companies, payday loans, slumlords. Even a lot of the charitable societies out there just take donations, and only 5% of those donations actually go to the purpose that they were meant for. The rest just go to corporations. And no one talks about it. No one talks about how predatory these businesses are. And you know why? Because the people that they're preying on, society has deemed as unimportant, as people with no value. But they're people. They have value. They have value because they are people. And if you are in one of those spots, if you're one of those people who are kind of teetering on the edge, and yesterday, one of the subscribers left a comment saying that they're losing their house and they don't know what they're going to do. So I want to say real quick that there is emergency assistance out there. You can always dial 211 to see what's possible, what's out there. You can think about getting a stay of eviction to give you more time that you need. You can always negotiate with the landlord or with the rental company to see if they can give you an extension. Sometimes you got to suck up your pride and do that. If you're out of options, I understand, but there are many, many, many resources out there. So don't just hang your head, put up your hat and say, I'm done, I'm checking out. Especially if you have kids. The subscriber, I'm talking to you directly. Don't give up. Don't give up hope. And even if you find yourself in the spot where you have to stay in a hotel for a little bit, that's not it. That's not the end of the journey. You are the hero to those kids that you have. It's important that you never give up, because you're always going to be a hero to them as long as you keep trying. Because that's the most important thing that a child sees, is their parents try. That's something that I know very personally.
Homelessness has become big business.
Author Brian Goldstone is introducing me to the underbelly of the hospitality business.
These hotels, they don't look like much, but there is a lot of money being made off of them.
Extended stay hotels that are often the last resort for low-income families with poor credit who've become homeless. It's happening in a lot of our cities, but especially here in Atlanta. Urban renewal, the renovation and improvement of mostly low-income neighborhoods, restoration, gentrification. It's all good. Unless you're one of the families being squeezed out.
It's the same Wall Street investors who are leading families and individuals to become homeless to begin with, because they buy up the rental housing. And then if you're even one day late on your rent, you have an eviction automatically filed against you. Before you know it, you're out. You don't have a home anymore.
Like I said, and that's the thing, if you're buying an investment property, sometimes it already comes with tenants in there. And because you bought that investment property and now your payments on that property are higher than the rents that are being paid, then you need to find a solution. And often the easiest way is to just, wait until, especially if it's a low income area, wait until that tenant misses a payment, and then you just evict them. That way you can get somebody else in and you can actually raise the rent so you can make a profit. And it's, like I said, it's a cold calculation of business. And it's something that I've really found kind of gross as far as the kind of financial influencers that we've seen over the past decade, is this whole idea that the only way to be successful is if you own a bunch of investment properties, you have a bunch of tenants. It's a dream of control. It's a dream of being a landlord, of being above other people, not just having that. Listen, I've talked to people who have hundreds of different properties and they don't care about the tenants at all. They don't. I remember having a very specific conversation with one gentleman in Louisiana, had like 400 different investment properties. And I asked him, because he was a bit of a slumlord, I'm like, well, how has the immigration policies changing in this country affected your business? Have you been losing clients? He's like, yeah, I've been losing them left and right, but it's okay. We'll just get more people in. And that's when I learned that there are people out there who actually use this as an opportunity to take equities out of their portfolio and really press down as much as they can on their tenants. And it really kind of fucked me up for a little bit and made me rethink my whole career at that point. Because, I mean, is this really kind of the people that I want to be serving? But it is what it is. Everyone has to earn a paycheck these days.
We're using a fake name.
Right.
Why?
Because privacy. Privacy.
Meet Maurice and Natalia. These days things are much better. They have an apartment. Life is manageable. But only 5 years ago they were on the brink of disaster. Maurice worked for a rental car agency and Natalia for an insurance company. But when Natalia gave birth to their third child, her salary stopped.
That threw everything off. I didn't get an income for like a point in time. And then next thing you know, you're out in the street with a baby.
Because?
We were late. And I remember I begged her, and she was like, do you have it now? Can you get it now? And all we needed was to get the payday. It was crazy because like my mindset was in like, it was raining. The sheriff let me sit in his car.
That still gives me anxiety. Just getting that call from work and you having to leave work in a hurry and you come home and you see trying to do something to you as a man.
Tell me.
It transforms you, it breaks you, and it will continue to break you if you allow it.
And when we get to the story.
Yeah, as a man, we have certain expectations on us, especially if you're the head of the household or if you're the sole provider. And, coming up short or failing in that mission that you have can do irreparable damage to your sense of self and your self-confidence. And it's not something that we talk about because men in general, we're not emotive because society tells us not to be, but men usually hold a very deep reservoir of emotion that is suppressed. And it's not out of fear that we do that for the most part. Typically, just because we don't want it affecting those around us because we see them as our responsibility. We see it as our duty to protect them. And that feeling of failure can have catastrophic repercussions to people. Truly, it can.
Which is another family there too. And it's like, we don't say anything to each other, but we know that look.
You know that look.
And all you do is just nod. It's going to be okay. Put your stuff in there. Try to figure out somewhere to go.
When you see a family at a bus stop with, luggage, they're not going to the airport.
The thing that haunts me most is the black bags. The
black
bags. You already know
the
what
trash
it is.
bags.
When you get evicted, all your stuff, well, it was black, but now it's clear bags.
When did you first realize that you really were homeless?
I was like filling out paperwork and you would hesitate. And you're like, they'll ask you where you're living specifically.
Right.
Are you renting? Are you homeowner? Or are you homeless? You sit there and you struggle for a minute. You're like, well, I have a roof over my head, but it's not mine and it's temporary. And I could actually literally be booted out tomorrow. So you check the box, homeless. That's what we are.
It was 2020 during the pandemic, and the family of five was living in an extended stay hotel. Natalia was working remotely, answering customer service calls.
I got flagged because of the noise, and they were asking me if I could go to a quieter spot. So I sent them a picture of where I'm at because I'm telling them I'm in a hotel. And I was like, oh, we travel to hotels all the time. You could just go over to this. Man, my bed is right here. The kitchen is right here. And that's where I'm working from. Please help me find this quiet space. I'm trying my best.
I remember just realizing this is like an expensive prison. Mm-hmm. I was just looking at the bill. My kids can't go outside. There's no playground. We gotta keep the curtains closed because people walk through the hotels, they can look into your room, so there's no privacy.
In 8 months, they spent $17,000 on the extended stay room, nearly twice as much as they'd paid on their old apartment.
It's really important that we not talk about all of these families and individuals as if they're falling into homelessness. They are being pushed. This is an engineered neglect. And at every turn, there are entire business models that are set up to capitalize on their predicament.
Are you embarrassed about what happened?
If I could be honest, yes. Because remember, it's not supposed to happen to people like us. We did everything that we were supposed to be doing. We tried our best. But, you still end up in a hole, in a hell.
Why isn't it supposed to happen to people like you? You're educated?
Yes,
You're hardworking?
yes. And we tried our best. You follow all the rules of life.
As does Rhea. Remember the single mother of 4 who pays $375 a week for that small extended stay room? A car is her livelihood right now, but she no longer has one of her own.
So I'm actually renting a car. I'm paying $60 a day.
60
Yes,
a day.
60 a day.
How many hours are you working before you've just paid off that day's car?
If I go out there and drive for Uber after work, it'll take me probably like 2 or 3 hours. Depends on how the rides come in.
How many miles do you have on it?
187.
That's 187,000. It's a lot of miles.
Yes.
Yeah. How'd the tires?
Horrible.
So when the tire goes,
I have to replace them.
oh boy. When you lie awake at night, what are you thinking about?
Sometimes I want to give up.
I can understand that. But you've got children, so you can't.
My
right?
kids keep me going. It's so hard right now, I don't even know.
Sometimes when things are at their darkest,
Hi, my How are you?
help comes in the...
Like I said, it's just getting worse out there. And it's hard to see such families, be in this situation because it's incredibly easy. Right? If you are paycheck to paycheck, like 60% of our country is, like, you don't really understand just how close you are to being in the same position as Rhea or these other two. I think that one of the most perverse aspects of this culture is that it monetized suffering. And you can say, well, at least there's something for them to fall back to, but it's when the only thing that you can fall back on isn't cheaper housing, isn't more affordable housing. It's hotel rooms, which cost much more than the cheapest rental that you're going to find out there. The whole thing is just meant to keep you as desperate and on the edge of homelessness as possible, because the more desperate you are, the more you can be juiced, because the less resistance you can give, because you live within a very small margin and you have to use every hour possible, and you don't have time to do anything else, especially if you have kids. And I think it's a real shame, personally. Tell me what you guys think. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, you shouldn't have kids. It's just not realistic for everybody. You have kids, and sometimes you're in a great spot, and then a couple months later you're in a horrible spot, and that kind of stuff just happens too. And like I said, when it comes to this, as a country, we need to have more empathy and not just ignore these people, not just see them as invisible, see them as casualties of capitalism. We can't do that. We have to understand that these are members of our community, that their kids still go to school with our kids, right? They're still our co-workers, and these people are in a very bad spot. And as important as it is that we have a social safety net that's able to help and take care of these people to get back up on their feet, it's more so important that we as a community acknowledge and validate what they're going through and try to do what we can to help, But I don't know. If you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member. Donations are always welcome to the channel. It's rough. It is. But like I said, if you are going through something like this, please reach out and understand that there is a vast spectrum of different resources for people in different positions. And there's always something that's out there for you, because right now we do have plenty of programs that are built to help people out. While the funding for those programs is going away, they're still there at the moment. So don't give up. keep your head up, because seeing so many families live in hotels at this point is not a good sign for our country. But thank you for your support as always, and we hope you have a good one. Take care.